Though escape is often the best solution, it's not always an available one. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson out of Russia. Here we're going to see a barber who loses his life because he angers one of his clients. We're going to learn important lessons here. Number one, that running away isn't always an option. Number two, the incredible importance of empty-handed skills for all self-defenders. And number three, we are going to talk about spiritual fitness. So as we begin, our victim is going to come and run, but he's not going to be able to run far enough. And his attacker, who's apparently angry about a bad haircut, has a knife on him. And you can see him just going to town on the guy. And a bunch of bystanders are like, oh man, what's happening? Well, this guy's going to town and sticking him with that knife multiple times. And when he just decided that the guy has had enough, you can see he's got something really significant in his hand there. This wasn't like some little bitty thing. And now he's got to kind of walk off, and everybody's looking at this guy who's been stabbed multiple times and going, what do we do here? Now, one thing I noticed is that the bad guy here is going to turn back around and give him some more jaw. So this is a social violence. He wants him to know that he's done wrong and those kind of things. And when the guy finally keels over, he's like, all right, that's enough and that's fine. Now, again, as a bystander, what are you going to do here? Are your first aid skills up to this? Or are you going to involve yourself at all? Or are you just going to get the heck out of the danger zone? Well, that's where this one ends, and the info I have says that the victim did not make it. Let's go back and learn some lessons from this one. First one here is I do always recommend, if you can, getting out of the danger zone is the right way to go. Run if you possibly can. But in this instance, he couldn't run fast enough. The guy was faster than he was, and he couldn't outrun him. That might be the case if you have children you can't run, or somebody else who's mobility challenged, or you just may not be fast enough. You've got to have skills to fight as well. Now you notice that he was diminished, he was tired, and so that guy just reached over, and the first time he got him, he just went right over the top of his arm. You got to know how to defend yourself against a knife-wielding attacker. Yes, distance is the key, but you can create distance utilizing your strikes if you can. Now, you notice this guy here, he just crouches down. He's quit here. He doesn't have the attitude to defend himself, and the very foundational part of active self-protection is attitude. That says, listen, if I'm going to go down, if you're going to get me today, you're going to pay full retail for it, and I'm going to do everything I can to defend my life. And that has to be the foundational attitude that you have to have and bring to active self-protection. This guy didn't have that there. He's just trying to get away, but he's apparently just basically given up and fallen over. And you can see the effect that the guy's wounds have had on him. Now, as a bystander, I want to think about this. This guy with the red shirt is standing there right next to the guy. Do you get involved? Do you push the guy away and say, hey man, stop stabbing him? Well, you have to think about in your own heart, am I going to step into this kind of instance? Because if you do, then you make yourself a potential victim as well. You better have attitude, skills, and plan. I probably would only step in if I had superiority and force multiplication in that instance. Now, I've sped it up a little bit for the sake of time, but also want to pay attention to these guys are trying to figure out what's going on with the guy, but the threat reemerges, and he might have seen them as an affront to his ego as well. So you want to maintain attention and make sure that you don't put yourself in a victimization spot either. Now, thankfully, he's not going to go after those guys. And the final two things we want to talk about, number one is first aid skills. It's one of the reasons I always recommend having first aid equipment on you and first aid skills in case somebody else needs it, especially not necessarily in attacks like this, but for car wrecks and stuff like that. It's one of the reasons I always keep my first aid kit on me. And also spiritual fitness. You don't know beforehand when your last day might be. So make sure you said everything you need to say to your loved ones, that you and Jesus have a strong relationship, because in that day you will need it. So have it in advance to cover your asp.